On this day, I've tried. So on this day,
A really bad start. Well, I tried. Here we go.
so the 4th of May is on this day, and there were a hell of a lot of Raws, Impacts, all sorts going on.
Okay.
But none of them really looked interesting at all. I did see this very one strange clip from 1985. Dr. Dave Schultz on this day was cutting a promo against Jerry Lawler while wearing a T-shirt with a Nazi symbol on it,
Oh,
and said that nobody will team with Jerry Lawler or be his tag team partner because he has AIDS.
where was this? What is this?
This was in Mid-Atlantic, I think,
Wow.
on their TV.
I didn't know they were so edgy.
He was just explaining why Jerry Lawler couldn't find a tag team partner. But I'm not really sure why, on top of the AIDS thing, I'm not really sure why he was wearing a fat Nazi symbol in the middle of his chest. It's a bit close to the edge of that gimmick, even in 1985.
Well,
I was,
that was in Tennessee, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to be horrible, but
We'll stop you there. Uh, I then
no,
want to take.
I'm not saying they're Nazis. just saying, just saying it's an audience that aren't so like against it in storyline.
Okay, right.
They won't be as offended.
I
If you
understand
like.
what I understand what you're saying. I'd now like to take you to London, England for WWE Insurrection 2002.
I almost actually watched this pay-per-view like 3 days ago. I've been on a binge watch of pay-per-views between 2000 and 02.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it, but
Oh, well, I'm glad that you didn't, because it featured such classics as Bradshaw versus X-Pac,
okay.
Stevie Richards versus Booker T, Spike Dudley versus William Regal.
Oh, that sounds fun. That one actually. No,
You
I'm generally into that.
you're down for that? I
Yeah,
love Spike Dudley, whatever he does.
I love Spike Dudley and I love William
And
Regal.
apparently, I read a review, one of the most boring house show style matches of Triple H versus The Undertaker. We now skip ahead.
That was during Triple H's like massive rise as well. So
It was just before he shaved his face and wore weird purple pants.
it was when he was going between DX to being the Game. Well, I think he was the Game at that point, but
But he was finally dropping like Road Dogg and stuff, wasn't he?
yeah, he was becoming like a proper serious. Yeah. Anyway.
Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Volume 2, Part 1, happened on this day in 2000.
I'm aware of this company.
It's Insane Clown Posse's company.
Yeah.
They had Abdullah the Butcher versus Rude Boy in a steel cage match in the main event.
Fantastic.
In a death match, they had Madman Pondo versus Fat Fuck Barrel Boy.
Do you know what happened in the match? Like, do you know, like?
Oh, I didn't go out of my way to check out the footage. Billy Bill versus Dick Nipple.
Yep.
And Isaiah versus Chris Hero in the Who the Fuck Are These Guys match.
And that was probably like the technical masterclass of the show.
Sure, but it was booked as Who the Fuck Are These Guys match.
Yeah, I bet they didn't use like a single weapon and like the crowd completely turned on them.
Now we're moving forward to Impact 2010.
Actually, on those lines, sorry to cut you off. On those lines, I watched a CZW show from November, I think it was last November.
I've never been able to track any of them down.
And it is not the company it used to be at all. It was the most boring indie show. I don't know, like there was nothing extreme about it, and there was nothing interesting about it. It was just like a really boring local show.
Have they just sort of lost their identity then?
Yeah, I mean the logo still has barbed wire all over it, and there was one match that had some weapons, but it was like WWE hardcore with like a trash can and a tray.
I don't know, I can't remember what documentary it was, but I remember Moxley talking very fondly about CCW and like all the memories he had from he visited one of the arenas that he used to work in.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like really had its own personality.
Yeah, I mean it was like the next ECW, and if not more hardcore, because they were using light shoot. They were doing like the Japanese stuff. I remember people were getting thrown off like buildings or scaffolding, and now it was just like a load of guys I've never heard of just having a boring 5-minute match.
Yeah. Uh, Impact 2010. Only thing of note, 10 years ago this was.
That was a hard year to be a TNA fan.
Right. Well, you're looking forward to this one. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall become your new TNA World Tag Team Champions.
Oh, in 2010.
2010. And then we came to a pay-per-view because I usually just list these off for you and have a little look into the cards. But this show looked really fun, so I actually watched it. I won't do the whole card, just some highlights. But Extreme Rules 2014, El Torito versus Hornswoggle in a WLC match. You ever see this?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's fantastic. They get like 2/3 ladders and they get tiny chairs and tiny tables and have a proper TLC match.
Yeah, like
And
a
there's-
like a minis match, like a Mexican minis
Yeah,
match.
yeah, yeah. And there's a tiny ring announcer table next to the big one with a little person pretending to be Michael Cole and a little person pretending to be Jerry Lawler. And it was actually a really good match. Very enjoyable.
In Vince's mind, it was a complete joke, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. But Hornswoggle had the crowd eating out of his hands. I think it's the best thing I've ever seen Hornswoggle do.
He is
Uh,
quite good.
I would highly recommend checking that out. It's 9 minutes.
I've seen Hornswoggle on some indie shows, and he is maybe not the best wrestler, but he is quite engaging.
Yeah, I would recommend that one.
Okay.
You also had one of the worst cage matches I've ever seen in my entire life, which was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt.
I definitely have seen a worse cage match.
Which one?
It's the Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. What was it called? What, the Weapon Asylum or something?
Was this in WWE?
Yeah, it's much more recent, 2014.
I think I missed this one.
Yeah, it was the worst cage match. It was like the TNA gimmick where there's weapons all along
Lethal
the top.
Lockdown.
Yeah, and they have to climb up the cage to get the weapons and bring it down. They did that, but then they basically slowly grabbed every single weapon one by one and then barely used any of them.
WWE cage matches for the last 10 plus years have been the real shits, haven't they?
Yeah.
They don't really seem to use the cage anymore.
Not at all. I mean, the cage match in Main Event was better than most cage matches on Raw.
Yeah, definitely. Just to continue with this card quickly, Evolution versus The Shield.
Okay.
Yeah, it was lit. It was 4+ stars, legit.
Who was it in Evolution?
Batista, Orton, and Triple H.
Okay.
They had a brief thing for a couple of months in 2014.
Was Ric Flair like at ringside, or was he not there?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay.
But they've put the Shield over, and they did it well, and it was extremely surprising that this is WWE doing this stuff, and it's no wonder that all three of them have now gone into the main event because they got treated like royalty against Triple H and Batista in this show.
That sounds like a really good match.
Again, really worth checking out. And your main event is Daniel Bryan versus Kane in an Extreme Rules match, which again was really fun. And at one point, they're fighting in the back. Daniel Bryan carries Kane onto a wooden slat of a forklift, and he just drives the forklift back into the arena. He picks up the wooden slat that Kane's on, just maneuvers it up over the ring ropes, and then dumps him in. And right at the end, Fire and Table Mate, 2014.
Wow, with that and the comedy match and the backstage stuff, it sounds like an Attitude style.
It kind of felt like an Attitude. Like the rest of the matches were forgettable, but these 3 matches were really, really enjoyable. And Kane goes through the fire table.
Might take a break from my Attitude pay-per-views that I'm watching and check that out.
It's worth it. I'm currently working my way through WCW in 1993.
Yeah.
Which my girlfriend prefers 1000% to whatever Raw and SmackDown is on.
I don't know why you can get it, but you got to show her TNA 2006 to 2009.
You reckon she'd like that?
That's my favorite run of wrestling ever, I think.
I think I missed that stuff.
No, you didn't. We were watching it together. That was like the Main Event Mafia era.
I think I came in late, though. I think I came in early 2008.
Oh, okay, yeah, because 2006 you had the Joe versus Kurt Angle stuff.
Oh, no, I remember that.
Yeah, and then the main event Mafia stuff, which is probably one of the best eras of TNA.
I really enjoyed Main Event Mafia. It's just interesting to hear her opinions on it as somebody that doesn't really actively watch or like wrestling. I asked her why she prefers WCW 1993, and she just said, well, that because they sound like they actually want to fight each other. And that was
Yeah,
it. And yet, like, we sit here and talk about stuff on a podcast for 2 hours, but she summed it up in a sentence. Are there any highlights from what you're watching at the moment that you'd recommend checking out?
I watched for the first time yesterday the Armageddon, this Hell in a Cell.
I've never seen that. Is that where Rikishi
No,
falls off?
yeah, I've never seen it either, and for some reason the other day I thought, why have I never seen that? So I checked it out, and it was fantastic because everyone's seen the highlight of Rikishi falling off the cage
Hmm.
onto the flatbed truck, right? And then I've always thought, why is there a flatbed truck there? And there's a story running through the entire pay-per-view that Vince McMahon doesn't want these six guys, who is the top six guys in the company, to go kill themselves in this main event. Because as Jerry Lawler put it, it's $1 billion match. There's $1 billion worth of talent in the ring.
Yeah.
So Vince tries to he tries to get all the fans to leave the show. He tries to rally everyone to protest and walk out. Obviously, they're not going to do that. He tries to get, his lackeys, Jerry Briscoe and I forgot what the name of the other one is. He tries
Pat
to get,
Patterson.
yeah, he tries to get them up there to cut the cage down. Obviously, that doesn't work. So then halfway through the Hell in a Cell match, he brings a truck out and he just starts, like, bit by bit, pulling the cage away, trying to dismantle it. And that's why the truck is there. And storyline, it's so clever because obviously I knew the spot was coming because I've seen it. But if you'd watched it live, there was a reason for the trunk to be there, and you wouldn't have suspected anything.
This is great. I'm going to check this out tonight.
And then, back when WWE used to have all the staging, like the cool staging.
Yeah.
So they've got all these cars, mashed up cars, looking like a junkyard. And then Rikishi doesn't blade. All other guys blade. So you got Rock and Austin like just doing DDTs on top of a car to each other. The Undertaker puts, I think it's Triple H through the truck window. It's just carnage. It's what you expect from the Attitude Era. It's just absolute carnage. And
Does
then
it go
when
long?
it's quite long for Hell in a Cell match.
I think I'll watch that tonight.
It's
Sounds
probably
good.
it's probably the longest Hell in a Cell match of the early era of those matches.
It's interesting how everybody knows about that match, but apparently nobody's ever watched it.
Yeah, and the rest of the card was okay. I mean, it was a one match card.
So you watching the full shows?
Yeah, I'm just putting them on while I'm doing other stuff.
I'm really enjoying Saturday night, WCW Saturday night, and the various pay-per-views and stuff. But when I actually see a good match, I'll let you know. 'Cause
Okay.
It's been over a month. It's not exactly high quality content, and you got some.
Wasn't a strong era for WCW, though, was it?
Well, you got some good workers. You got like Ricky Steamboat in there. You got Paul Orndorff. They just seem to kind of be going through the motions because they're getting big dollar and they don't really need to put much work in. But I am looking forward to getting to February when I finally finish January because Ric Flair turns up again.
Okay. When does the NWO form?
1996.
Oh, ages away.
I probably will never get to that.
I was doing the exact same thing you were doing a couple years back, but I didn't get very far into it. But with Raw, I wanted to watch all of the Raws throughout the Attitude Era, so I started in '94, I think. I started like 1 or 2 years before the Attitude Era kicked off, so you saw like all the debuts of the key players.
How far did you get?
I got to March.
Yeah, the only reason that I keep watching them is because my girlfriend seems to enjoy them for some reason. And the highlight of the show is Cactus Jack, mate. Honestly, he's the best thing on the show
Been telling
every
you for
week.
years.
Yeah.
Mick Foley in the 80s and 90s was a very different guy to who he is now.
I just wanted to check it out because it's before my time and I will forever be a WCW guy. So I just wanted to see some stuff that I hadn't seen before from that company.
I believe TNA.
All right, moving on.
Do you
You
have
got
any
some
more?
fun facts for me?
No, I don't.
Oh.